Welcome back. Let's head over to the app delegates implementation file and populate these two methods that we can already call from the overlay view controller and the master view controller. The first one is going to be the show overlay method. I like to write little comments in this method so that I remember what I want to actually write. So this method, the purpose of this method is to replace the split view with a view controller and show an overlay, just in case we forget. The dismiss overlay method will do something very similar, kind of the reverse of that. Bring back the split view. In fact, it's more correctly dismiss the overlay and bring back the split view. There we go. So specifically in the show overlay method, we need to grab a screenshot. Then we're going to create a new view controller with it. Swap the split view and present the overlay. There. So grab a screenshot. We know how to do that, I guess. So it's just going to be a UI image screenshot, and we've got this clever method that will be self grab screenshot. There. Case closed. Create a new view controller with it is going to be slightly more tricky. So I'm going to create a UI view controller and I'm going to call it underlay. And this is going to be the view controller that's going to look like the split view just being created with that screen grab that we've just done. And we're going to call this via the standard initializer method, alloc and init. The view controller itself hasn't really got a size. It's the view that's going to be inside the view controller that will have a size. So we can in fact create a view. We're going to have an UI image view here. I'll call it background, and that'll be init with image, and we have an image which is the screenshot. And now the underlays view will just be the background. That's the underlay done. Now let's create the overlay. The overlay we're going to grab from the storyboard. It's a storyboard with name. In my case, that's, oops, not selector. That was supposed to be a string called main. Bundle is nil, meaning it's the current bundle and no other bundle. One square bracket too many. And now we're going to grab that UI navigation controller from it. So UI navigation controller, and I'll call it overlay. And this probably needs to be typecast. I'll just try storyboard instantiate view controller with identifier overlay. That should work, and I suppose Xcode isn't exactly happy here because this may have to be typecast. Well, I'm never sure with Xcode, I must say. To swap out the split view, first we're going to grab a reference to it and store it in the property that we have up here. So that's just self.splitView in the app delegate. Self-splitView equals self window root view controller, because at that point this is correct. Well, this probably has to be typecast as well, because I get a little warning here. That means that what comes out of the root view controller is technically a UI view controller, not a split view controller, and that's totally correct, Xcode, you're right. Let's typecast this to a UI split view controller, and that should go away. I have a distinct feeling this may happen here as well, so I'm just going to typecast this into a UI navigation controller as well, just to be on the safe side. Now that we have an underlay view controller that looks exactly like the split view controller, we can simply do self window root view controller and add that view controller, so that'll be underlay. As soon as we do that, the split view is going to be switched out for our normal view controller, and on our normal view controller we can now call something like this. So underlay present view controller overlay animated yes, completion nil for now. There's one thing I've just remembered I've forgotten. The way the overlay is displayed is set with a property called modal presentation style. And if we don't set that, it'll be presented full screen. So we'll say overlay modal presentation style UI model presentation style form sheet. And if we do that, then the view controller we're presenting on top of the standard view controller will be not full screen, but will be something like 400 by 400 pixels on the iPad. And on the iPhone, it'll just be displayed as an action sheet. Let's see what happens until now. So right now we should be, our view should at least replace, and if something isn't working well, you know, at least we're going to find out now. Let's see what's going on. See some values, click this button, show overlay. There we go. Works like a charm already. The dismiss button isn't going to work because we haven't written the method to dismiss this thing yet, but it's fairly easy. We'll do the reverse of what we did previously there. So dismiss is pretty much the opposite of what we had before here. First, we're going to dismiss the overlay, and that'll be done by grabbing a reference to the current view controller and just dismissing whatever's in there. So we can say self window root view controller dismiss view controller animated yes, and completion, this is a block that we can call and we will call in this case because it's being the view controller is being dismissed on a background thread, and so that we can react to this appropriately, we will do this as soon as the thing is dismissed. Let's switch out the view controller for the split view again. And luckily we have got a reference to that, so we'll say self window root view controller is self split view. There we go. Closing bracket. And that should be that. So as soon as this is called, we hope. Whoops, that wasn't so good. There we go. Dismiss this, and we're back in the running application. So this is now our split view back. Even if we do something like this, so that with a delete button showing, as soon as we hit show overlay, we're going to grab a screenshot of that and dismiss it, and we're going to come back. Awesome stuff. I'm always impressed when on the first go something like this works. You know, my usual experience is it doesn't. So there we go. Now there's one thing that just doesn't look amazing right now, and it's the moment when I press the show overlay button, the button will be in a highlight state, and it is the highlight state that is being captured. So it's kind of a grayed out, slightly lighter blue in the background that's being covered, that's being captured by the screenshot. And as soon as I press dismiss, there's just a pop back into the unpressed state, and that just doesn't look great. And there's a very simple solution how we can do. We can, before the screenshot is being taken, we can just wait 0.2 seconds and let this state turn back into unhighlight. And the easiest way to do that is rather than deal with threads and all that, we're just going to wait 0.2 seconds with an NS timer. Let's do that. This is now in the master view controller's implementation file. At the very bottom where we're saying this is where we're going to call the app delegate method. Let me just write a second method, and it's also going to be a void method, and we'll see in a moment why. I'll call it show overlay delayed. And this is where I'm going to call the method in app delegate. And in our show overlay method, which is the one that gets triggered when someone presses the button, we're just going to call a simple timer. There, ns timer, schedule timer with interval, target selector. That's the method we want. So the time interval, you can play around with it. 0.5 seconds is a little bit long. It introduces a little bit of a lag there, but 0.2 is ample time enough. See if you can shave it down to 0.1 even, or something shorter. 0.2 seems to work fairly well. The target will be us, so self, and the selector is going to be the method I've just written down here. So show overlay delayed, user info we don't need, and repeats definitely not. And what this will do is this will get triggered as soon as the button is pressed, and the timer will after 0.2 seconds trigger this method. And then the ugliness is just, you know, written out of the app. Awesome stuff. Let's try it out, see if I'm right. Press the show overlay button. There we go. The screenshot is taken as soon as the button is highlighted again. Well, let's rather not highlight again. And now the popping effect is completely gone. Perfect. That was it. Use it in your own apps and make Apple blush for such a bad implementation of the UISplitView controller. I'm sure they'll sort it out at one point, but until they do, at least we have this. This is not too complicated. It's just, you know, basically beating them at their own game. They've started taking screenshots as soon as the iOS 7 came out with the background app screenshots. Why shouldn't we do the same and make our users of our own apps happy? I hope you liked this. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to share it with friends, family, and total strangers. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and in fact to the iOS Dev Diary. And I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.